Morning, students. So the topic of today's lecture is database technology. In a last class we studied about how cloud uh, has come up with a new programming model. It's not about the cloud, but then there was no new programming model basically for distributed computing, and later, after the development of cloud native file systems were also developed, and the distributed concept basically was evolved into a technology for cloud. And also we looked at the file system. Apparently we looked at new programming model uh, and file system for cloud. In this chapter we are going to look at the database technology. Database technology in the sense that we are creating and storing and retrieving the data in the form of tables conventionally, and how we can use that conventional structure as well as a new method and way of doing storing new kind of data, that is database technology. Before delving deeper into the database technology, uh, let's try to understand types of data. Broadly, we have two kinds of data: structured data and unstructured data. Structured data is textual or numeric data arranged in the form of a table. It implies that you have a predefined structure to it. If you create a data in this format, wherein you have columns and you have rows, and every column designate a attribute name, and every row simply stores a instance or a record for all these attribute values. And then
Ma'am,
yes.
share screen, ma'am.
Oh. Okay, sorry about that. Let's look at this. This is a structured model. In this structured model, we have rows and columns, and every cell designate a value. The conventional database technologies like Oracle and Microsoft SQL, they are meant to handle this sort of data. Uh, Essentially, here I am talking about a relational database management system, RDBMS. So, Oracle RDBMS and Microsoft is MySQL. This MySQL These two relational models support this kind of structure, and primarily it is pretty easy to store the data, to retrieve the data, to manipulate the data. As we know the structure, we know the size. While creating the relation or table, we specify the size and types of attributes, whether it is primary and uh, not null, and several other predefined features are available that makes it pretty easy to handle. Um, Apparently, the end of last century, the last 2 decades have introduced web, internet, and then last decade introduced social media and e-commerce portals. They are generating vast amount of data which is unstructured in nature. When I write a review for a product on any e-commerce website, that review does not follow any structure, and it can have audio, video, images, text, number, and it is of any length, it is of any format. That is an unstructured in nature. Tweets and Facebook posts, and you take on any social media and e-commerce portals, you don't find uh, okay, a tweet is like semi-structured because it imposes a limit on the characters, and it can be semi-structured or it can be totally unstructured. Majority 90% of the data now uh, on your mobile phones, on the internet, is unstructured. So essentially, here we are looking at database technology for structured data, unstructured data on cloud. With respect to cloud, we are going to study database technology, not as an individual entity, not as a course on database, rather a part of cloud. This covers the introduction to database technology, and moving ahead to database in cloud. Cloud consumers can avail the facility of database in one of the two forms. The first one is installing the database and using it. Second one is use pre-installed database. Pre-installed. These are the two ways in which consumer can use. The next question that arises is, how is this functions? To understand this, you know that cloud resources are of three types: as, PaaS, and SaaS. In as, you have hardware components. In PaaS, you have operating system and database technology and several system related libraries and softwares. SaaS is application software. When a consumer install database, he does so on hardware directly. A space will be provided, then the consumer can choose the operating system, and here on top of operating system and hardware resources, consumer will install his desired database. He can install Oracle, MySQL, and any other database software which consumer is willing to use. That is the first option. So it's all about like having a DB on AS. Second one is use pre-installed database. Another way is the provider on top of hardware and OS installs database product, Oracle or MySQL, and then consumer can create a table on this, can retrieve information from this. Consumer is not involved in the maintenance, creation, backup and recovery, and several other operations related to database in this case. So this is more of having a PaaS. Okay, so platform is ready to be used, and consumer can just create tables and can use. Okay, so in two forms: first, general database installation on AS or virtual machine. Second one is delivered by service providers as database as a service. When provider installs the database and maintains it and allow consumers only to create and retrieve the data on that database, such type of service is known as database as a service. So like you have software and platform and infrastructure as a service. Likewise, you have database as a service. And then uh, users deploy database applications and pre-installed and pre-configured databases comes here, and here installation has to be carried out by consumer. And Amazon provides EC2 machine image. What is EC2? Elastic Compute Cloud Machine Image with pre-installed Oracle database. So Amazon has this. And the burden of provisioning, configuration, backup facilities are managed by service operators. This is for second case where you have a database as a service. Operators perform provisioning, configuration, backup facilities. Okay. Data models. As explained earlier, there are two broad data models: structured and unstructured. SQL data model is structured data model. NoSQL data model is a unstructured data model. SQL data model apparently deals with um, table like structures which are having a predefined structure and You know, databases, RDBMSs. No SQL data model. It is for unstructured data like images, videos, uh, tweets, reviews, posts, blog posts, and so on. And SQL model or relational model. SQL model, the other name is relational model because it is in the form of a relation. Relation is a table. Here it mainly process structured data sets. There is a limitation of structured data set, which is it can't be scalable. It's very difficult to scale a structured data set, and thus it is not suitable for cloud environment, as scalability is prime attribute of cloud environment. Therefore, relational model is not appropriate and suitable for cloud environment, as it does not support scaling efficiently. Examples of relational databases are Oracle database, Microsoft SQL Server, open source MySQL, open source PostgreSQL. These are the relational models or SQL model. No SQL model or non-relational model. Non-relational model implies that you don't have a tabular like structure wherein you store the attributes of a record. That kind of model better suits a cloud environment as it is more scalable, and it also supports distributed data storage, as it is inherent characteristics of cloud to have data spread across the devices. It's not just on local machine. In a conventional environment where you had a local machine, in that you have a database product running, installed and running, and you are the user, you are using it. This is not the case in cloud. Data is stored and distributed across multiple devices, and user can access data from this device, or later he can access from this device. It's like access from anywhere, and this kind of environment uh, requires a new kind of model, which is no SQL model or non-relational model. And then database is built following this data model. Which data model? Distributed data model is known as NoSQL databases, and it is cloud native and scale efficiently. All right, so it is useful for heavy read write loads and for retrieval and storages of unstructured data. Examples are Amazon SimpleDB, Google Data Store, Apache Cassandra. These are the examples of NoSQL database systems. Database as a service. In database as a service, a consumer is not um given any a task of installing and maintaining the database. Everything is pre-installed, pre-configured, and this DB, this DBAS, database as a service, DBAS operates in a similar manner like other cloud services. It can be scaled well. You can scale it and you can meter it for billing purpose, and it offers pay per usage basis, on demand access. All the features of cloud are supported by this DBaaS, and storing and retrieving of data is the only job for a consumer. Consumer does not deal with low level database administration functionalities. And automatic provisioning, monitoring, increased security and management of database is performed by the provider. And DBaaS offering of cloud computing supports both structured and unstructured data. You have a database as a service for both structured and unstructured data. And examples include Amazon RDS, Microsoft SQL Azure. Example of DBaaS for unstructured, this is for structured. For structured, examples are, you have structured Amazon RDS, Microsoft SQL Azure. These are the examples of DBaaS for structured data. For unstructured data, we have Amazon SimpleDB, Google Data Store, Apache Cassandra. So you have Amazon SimpleDB. Then you have Google Data Store. And you have Apache Cassandra. Relational DBMS in cloud. You can use relational DBMS in cloud like you use on your local system. But then what happens here, there are two options that are given. What are the options that are given? The options are relational database deployment on cloud, which has to be performed by the user. This relational database deployment on cloud, this is done by user installation and backup and recovery. Relational database as a service or fully managed RDBMS. This, the pre-installed and pre-configured database is made available to the consumer. Relational database deployment on cloud. This one requires user to install database applications on cloud servers, just like they do in local computers. And when users deploy database on cloud, they get full control over the database administration, including backup and recovery. They can install all database applications over operating system of their choice, and they can tune the operating system and database parameters according to their requirements. These are the advantages that are available for the users when they go for this model, database deployment on cloud. Relational database as a service. We know that consumers do not have to do any task other than storing and retrieving. That is provisioning, patching, backup, recovery, failure detection, repairing. All these are the tasks of provider. So provider responsibility is to provide all these features. Amazon Relational Database Service or Amazon RDS. Amazon Relational Database Service or Amazon RDS. It is a relational database service available with AWS, Amazon Web Services. It was first released in 2009 uh, with support for MySQL database. And later it has added Oracle Server, Microsoft SQL Server, and open source PostgreSQL. And in 2014, AWS launched MySQL compatible relational database called Amazon Aurora. This Amazon Aurora is MySQL compatible relational database launched by AWS. The advantage of Amazon Aurora is it provides better performance than MySQL at lesser price. Amazon RDS supports two schemes for pricing: reserved database instances or on-demand database instances. In reserved database instances, you have to specify for how much period you need database on a regular basis. And it is a one-time payment and offers three database instance type: light, medium, and heavy. If you use database for 10 hours every day, that might come into heavy utilization. For 5 hours, medium. For 1 hour, light. Based on this types, pricing will be fixed, and then you have to pay one time payment, and then you can utilize the services. This is one way of doing. Second way is on demand database instances. This provides an opportunity for the consumers to use whenever they need on an hourly payment basis, and there is no long-term commitment involved in on-demand database instance. Google Cloud SQL is a MySQL database that lives in Google's cloud and managed by Google. And it is integrated with Google App Engine applications. The applications that are written in Java, Python, PHP, and Go, which are being executed on this Google App Engine, they can access the MySQL database uh, because it has been integrated on Google's cloud. All right, and Google offers two different billing options. They are named as packages and per use. Packages option is like a reserved option of AWS. It is for those users who use database extensively per month basis. Pay per use is like on demand of AWS. It is billed on hourly basis, and it is preferable for those consumers who use uh, database whenever they need to use it. It's not on a regular basis, it's on need basis. And Billing not only depends on database, it also depends on how much RAM, storage, usages, and number of IO operations takes place while using the database. Another one is Azure SQL database. Microsoft Azure SQL database. It was formerly known as SQL Azure. It is a relational database as a service which offer functionalities of Microsoft SQL Server. Microsoft SQL Server within a cloud is offered as Microsoft Azure SQL database. SQL database uses TSQL as a query language. TSQL is a query language used on Microsoft SQL Server. Apparently, that is the language for Azure SQL as well, and it uh, it offers three tiers: basic, standard, and premium, with different hourly basis pricing option. For premium tier, when you have a mission critical high transactional volume and many concurrent user, you go for premium tier, and for moderate usage you go for standard tier, and basic tier is for small database with a single operation at a given point in time. Non-relational DBMS in cloud. So far we covered relational DBMS in cloud, including Amazon's, Google's, and Microsoft. Three we looked at. Now the next one is a non-relational DBMS in cloud. As you know, non-relational DBMS is mainly deals with unstructured data. Unstructured data has emerged in the last decade of the last century, and then uh, because of the introduction of web-based portals and the nature of the data and the volume of the data, that has given rise to a data which is known as big data. And big data has got its own characteristics. It is having a large volume. Earlier, during 2000, the year 2000, there was a 10 GB of storage on a PC, and then that was adequate to perform tasks on data, as the data generated at that time was small, and it was sufficient to have this much of computer system with this much of data. However, as the social media and the web and the um, other smartphones prevalence, the volume has increased exponentially. It is not increasing in linear format, it is increasing exponentially at a very high rate. And then velocity, the data streaming is happening at an unprecedented rate. You just look at videos on YouTube and on several other video streaming apps. At an unprecedented rate, you see the videos getting streamed. So that was also not there earlier. It was not necessary to have non-relational or NoSQL databases at that time. And the data is occurring in all the formats like text, videos, audios, images, 3D data, all are getting generated every single day and in enormous amount. There are several other V's associated with big data you might have studied. These are the three basic ones: volume, velocity, and variety. With the emergence of data with those features, having great volume and unprecedented rate of streaming and speed and having different formats of data, there was a need to have an alternative database model which is not a relational model. And then several organizations have come up with different approaches to handle such big data. And okay, relational database was came into the market during 80s, and big data emerged, and this became obsolete, and online transaction processing applications flooded with web flooded the web with a very high volume of data. Online transaction processing applications that process uh, the data that uh, that are given to it as it is being generated. If you look at the supermarkets throughout the country, how much data is being produced or generated by them in single hour, in 60 minutes. It's enormous amount. So uh, and then you might be posting so much of video, audio. Now I look at this, I am creating this video of 1 hour, and then I am posting it on YouTube. Like that every day I'm doing. So just my contribution, like that everyone is contributing and generating data in some or the other way. All right, this is all about that. This all we have covered. Modern database requirements. What are the modern age database requirements? We require horizontal scaling, uh, which means that we need to process large data sets for high performance applications, and we need to process them in parallel. These are the attributes that are desirable, for modern age database requirements. And then parallel processing, high performance, delivering, and latency could be reduced by caching frequently used data in memory on dedicated servers. Latency has to be reduced. If you are here accessing the database located somewhere else in the other side of the planet, it should not take much time. uh, the latency must be reduced by using a technique of caching, and the response time should be reduced. When you submit an application and receives the output, the response time is the time between submission and receiving. That should be reduced to enhance the performance of applications. And databases have to be highly optimized for retrieval and appending operations. These are the requirements from modern age databases. And role of cloud storage system. The characteristics of storage system had changed during this time. Earlier concern was the cost of storage space. The traditional concerns, cost of storage management. However, nowadays you are getting huge storage in so much less cost. So the replication of files across the geographical location and using distributed file system has become easy. So journal parallel file system, Google file system, or Hadoop distributed file system, these have evolved and they can be used on cloud, and they works well in high performance computing environment. And the characteristics of such file systems suits very well with cloud's dynamic architecture. And development of scalable database system to store and manage modern age data has also become easy. NoSQL DBMS is essentially a class of database management system that does not follow all the rules of relational DBMS. In relational DBMS, there are a few rules to be followed. Uh, all those rules are not applicable in NoSQL system. The term NoSQL can be interpreted as not only SQL. NoSQL means not only SQL, and it is not replacement for RDBMS, rather a complementary addition to the RDBMS. NoSQL is not replacing SQL totally. It's adding extra functionalities for the unstructured data available today. The term NoSQL was coined by Carlos Strozzi in the year 1998 to name file-based open source relational databases he was going to develop, which did not have SQL interface. So what he felt is, because it does not have SQL interface, he has named that interface which he was creating in 1998 as NoSQL. And NoSQL was not directly linked with the cloud initially. Later, the term drew attention in 2009 when Eric Evans, employee of Rackspace, used it in conference to represent the surge of developing non-relational distributed databases. Did you understand? NoSQL was not originally developed for cloud or for the usage as it is being made as such. It was developed for a file-based open source relational databases, and in 1998. Later, Rackspace employee have used in a conference the term NoSQL to represent it as a phrase for non-relational distributed databases. All right, the evolution. NoSQL movement slowly started in the early years and started to realize the need for new database system to support web-based application, and later has got the popularity and wide acceptance for non-relational database. Okay, so it was Google and Amazon published two papers, 2006 and 7, and from there onwards it has got wide acceptance and popularity. Big table revolution. In 2004, Google employed a team to develop a storage system to manage big data. There was a need of a storage system to manage big data because of its volume, variety, and velocity. uh, that was not being efficiently stored on relational databases. So there was a need to develop a new storage system, and big table was the name given for the technology developed at that time, and it was proprietary distributed storage system built by Google on Google file system and is in use from 2005. All right, and then what happened? Big table has successfully provided a flexible high performance solution for Google products like Google Earth, Google Analytics, and Orkut. Big table was successful in providing high performance solution to these products. Google Earth, it's so huge, and Big Table was able to handle and manage it. And later, Big Table has had a large impact on NoSQL database when Google publicly disclosed the details in 2006. What Google does was, earlier Big Table was its own proprietary product. Later, they have disclosed it and made it available for open source development of databases which are like Big Table. HBase database developed by Apache Foundation and Cassandra developed at Facebook surfaced at the market. After that, Apache developed HBase and Facebook developed Cassandra. This is the evolution. We are studying the evolution. And Amazon also during that time have published a paper on their Dynamo storage system. Dynamo storage system was also built around this concept of distributed database. And all right, so what was happened later? Cloud native file system or cloud storage systems started to develop, and NoSQL had a big impact on that and was closely associated to it. And in a short period of time, this development escalated and scaled up, and then NoSQL became prominent after 2009 as a general terminology, NoSQL. And this was actually representing a new database which is not relational in nature. CAP theorem stands for consistency, availability, and partition tolerance of data. What is the need of having this CAP theorem? When the data is distributed, earlier data was on single device, single machine, stored locally mainly. When the data got distributed across multiple machines, several parameters had to be addressed when you follow this model. What parameters need to be addressed? Suppose you have 4 houses. Okay, you live in 4 different houses as per your wish and mood. And then if you put your college bag here and later you realize that you want to go to this house, you move to this house and you stay there for a night, and in the morning you have to go to college and you will not find your bag here because your bag is here, not here. Then what you have to do, you have to go to this house and take the bag and then go. Like the data, when it is stored here, if user wants to access here, and if the data is being updated here, and if there is any replicated copy stored here, how the updates are reflected on that other copy, how you are making the data accessible at any system. There are several issues that need to be considered. The consistency issue, if you modify at one place, if you don't modify at another place, inconsistency problem arises. Availability, if you have the data here and it should be made available at all the time, if this system goes down, then how about making the data available? And partition tolerance means what? When you are partitioning the data and storing on two multiple machines, how you are able to merge them and then use them. So that is these issues addressed by CAP theorem. It stands for consistency, availability, and partition tolerance of data. And this is also known as Brewer's theorem. That says, this theorem says that it is impossible for a distributed computer system to meet consistency, availability, and partition tolerance at all the time. And this algorithm was presented in ACM conference in 2000. So first parameter, consistency. What does it mean? It means that the data in the database remains consistent after execution of an operation. Once the data is written or updated, all the future reads request will see that data. Okay. Now you are making an update to this X here. There was X here as well. And if you make update here and a user access here from there, and then what is the guarantee that this X gets this updated copy? Okay, all the future reads, whatever reads are being made after the updation, must receive the updated value. That is consistency. Availability is, it guarantees that the database always remain available without any downtime. Partition tolerance means database should be partitioned in such a way that if one part of the database becomes unavailable, other parts remain unaffected and can function properly. Okay, if you have a program in which you have X and Y, and Y fails, then even then X it should not affect the functionality of X. That's partition tolerance. Okay, as database must follow. Okay, so what they have decided is that if not all the three properties, at least two of the three properties must be followed by any database system. Look at this one, this consistency, availability, partition tolerance. Here you have consistency and partition tolerance supported by HBase and MongoDB. These are two NoSQL databases that supports these two features, and RDBMS support consistency and availability. DynamoDB, Cassandra and CouchDB, they support availability and partition tolerance. Okay students, still so much is there. This is a big chapter. Tomorrow we will complete it. Not tomorrow, next class we have on Monday, we will complete it. Please go through this. Any doubts in today's class? Okay, Sagar, are you there? Sagar, can you please unmute?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that work done, Sagar? How much more
Not
time
yet,
you
ma'am.
need? How much more time you need?
One more. At
This
least
week?
1 week.
More 1 week? Okay, try to finish as soon as possible, so that I can assign to the students. Okay, bye bye.